The overall environment and system described has the potential to be a vendor-style district where urban dwellers may visit at certain hours with the proper security. It could be quite inviting. When visiting city limits, people could be required to only have a suitcase worth of goods with 3 tables and an area provided for vendors to sell their crafts, as it would make transportation a lot more easy and fair to the actual capitalist economy. Vendors at this level, if willing to only sell what is in the suitcase, should have rights to decide whether they want to tax their work or not, since this overall community's population can benefit general national security and abundance due to willing establishment. Ultimately, you could create a social environment that is similar to college and lake life, yet actually feasible to the national budget. People love to pretend they are not socializing while they socialize, and it brings the vibe of New York and LA to new regions. Cause randomness. Think Burning Man, John Locke, Earthships, Jesus. That's where I'm kinda going with this. Controlled chaos, man. I am trying to help here, man. Now, do you see why I must not starve? This is really nasty that I have 60 cents to my name and I am thinking this way. It's just awkward. You could ask to have housing programs that let normal individuals work in said area while they save money from a job in an urban area. This would allow more access to the house market through less sacrificial means. Welding and appliance mechanic opportunities. You could let the community use said appliances and ship them to third world countries that we are also assisting. Yet this system would absolutely not work in a third world democratic system, as it still keeps these regions undeveloped. In fact, to instill this type of communal living in other countries that are disadvantaged would be quite corrupt, as you would only create an environment that mainly focuses on sedentary movement, which devolves actual democracy. The main reason this type of system would only work best in nations such as our own is due to the general education level within the homeless population. Our society at the very least has helped individual opinion through at least sort of source, even if not reputable. It would be cruel to segregate people in this condition in a third world, yet in ours, segregation could also be highly utilized and may help to further protect cultures and individualism, as it's a better alternative that negligence or possible concentration camps. I have no goal to make my nation feel as though their government is planning on having mass hordes of people executed. Yet if any group would be targeted first, it most definitely will be the group of individuals stated. Truly, there isn't right to exist this way with security. It's completely unfair to the general public to have to clean up the same shit stains from someone who insults you daily, knowing you have no power to tell them to fuck off, as they will harass you more, pay their medical and food, utility, housing bills with no compensation, simultaneously finding more safety, as our national security is quite legit, while you have knowledge on how to navigate the streets and avoid dangers all citizens are profited off. Eventually the homeless population will get more out hand, and there will have to be less humanity. So essentially, it's up to both normal citizens and unconventional citizens to decide what rights they want to keep. The current rights will stay. Yet, populations and resource hierarchy could cause actual famine and true maltreatment if this stubbornness isn't addressed. This is a solution, a quite nice one, something the government could easily establish, while having less guilt and more justification on boundaries for birth control, the black market, and unfair economic loopholes. Yet, you deserve neglect and death if you refuse this type of help. This complex would allow citizens to feel less guilty from actual, immediate population control after a 10-20 year make. If execution was brought, it would be highly delayed and known to this group, with alternative outcomes if interested. This would take away a lot of power that should be given to certain individuals, while still giving them the correct power needed to live. This should be a community that helps you, but also threatens your ungrateful fucking disgusting mouth. This would then further help international connects, as it could help others see how they may apply certain strategies, while actually understanding there were proper human practices instilled before anything else. It would also help filter out and attract quality internationals, and if not death, at the very least, deportation to a country with less rules and establishments, fully giving up American citizenship, benefits and community. Which probably should happen after the 10-year mark. 20-year mark should be for absolute anarchy. This further would allow America to update its American citizen policy, as this environment could allow proper awareness and political movement, giving no rights to unaware, entitled dominancy, less guilt to those who actually do work for their load, which is important. Without systems such as, we will fall into a paradox of being a customer, mediator, and manager while getting paid on guilt that's not actually ours. You can already see this in most grocery stores and restaurants. This complex of disrespect literally hurts national security. These environments should be easy to flow through, as Americans should not invest their time in babying a group that most likely would have bullied their children in the school. This makes the actual taxpayer use energy that should be preserved. It's not fair to education. This system would allow corporations the responsibility of finding more quality workers, since there would likely be a portfolio domain and communication development with just the mere subliminal of said regions. Going back to why we should still allow homeless on regular streets, many of the populations would be creepy to the younger age groups. There would be unnecessary amounts of chaos. You couldn't properly attract the correct people, as it wouldn't be an enjoyable. It should be nice. The nicer it is, which could be slowly generated from said building system, the better chances you would have if actual establishment versus mob mentality and anarchy. I'm just tired of sharing space with girls my age that don't care like I do. Don't want you to die though. Federal Pell grants could also be better distributed, as some individuals may find a crafted, sedentary lifestyle to be more feasible than college. Many go to college just so they want go homeless. It would actually help those who truly want education. There also likely should not be paved roads in said areas until a 5-10 year mark, as this budget would not be fair, since there are many roads still neglected. The only establishments funded should be an industrial-sized kitchen and a community bathhouse with proper privacy. There should eventually be rights to establish businesses within these realms, but that likely should not happen until at least 5 years after roads can be further established. Easy transportation should not be accessible until it is actually earned. Access to the city with proper systems and transportation, along with money made from vendors and side jobs in said community can suffice the rights to experiencing the capitalist environment, yet should not have this right to establish in said areas. Yet this community should be an area where you can create plans and have proper resources to further bring your ideas to life in an actually capitalist economy. There should be no business rights besides through the vendor system unless moving to an urban location. This further prevents unnecessary and unfair power and wealth distribution. This should not be a place where you can live cheaply with little codes while further profiting off occult marketing information gained from sitting down and observing the world. This is a place that should allow alternative living conditions, yet never a place that can gain actual economic power. The vendor market isn't even as feasible due to bots of thrifted items, so it is more of a favor and lenient act, yet it does add community and well-being. Cosmetics, lotions, anything that is made from organic material should be highly prohibited. No food. This will help health standards while still supplying jobs through hand manufacturing. You could also set up systems where a lot of factories are moved back to our nation. Yet again, it truly needs to be communicated with both sides of the coin that this system is more of a privilege that could be violently ripped away as government has no other choice but to enact population control, likely through famine based on governmental assistance. This should not be a system where people have rights to mistreat those with higher education levels or just general skills. Those who help should have more rights to cuss out said individuals and restrain their own personal resources if maltreatment occurs. Submission. In this kind of community, it can be hard to communicate through educate addiction, and if anything, people willing to be vulnerable and help out should have rights to show individuals how ungrateful and insignificant they are. It's much better than actual torture. Any type of protest should further be mitigated through more coercive means than you would find at a protest in a city. Possible immediate deportation or cut off from EBTN. Medical and community. Again, this should be stated this way, allowing independent thought and action. So essentially, what I am saying is go to fucking hell until you build your own goddamn heaven. Otherwise I will learn to laugh at your suffering while I simultaneously forget your name and face.